¿A qué edad tú te fuiste de allá? 21.
Y hace 57 años que no voy a Cuba. Yo no voy más nunca.
Por eso lo digo en inglés, lo escribí en inglés, lo hago en inglés. Porque en español ya
Cuando lo
lo
entiende
sabe.
el otro es el que te regresa, el que no está bien claro de cuál es la lucha.
Thank you, man. I was thinking of you and I know you understood.
That's my country. You see what I mean? Okay. See you later.
Let me tell you what it's like growing up in Limbo, with 1 foot here and 1 foot there. Life on a hyphen, as a writer once called it. I am sick and tired of people asking me, where are you from? You have an accent. Oh yeah? Well, I'm from that independent little republic down south, once referred to as Miami, which we renamed Miami. I am Cuban from Miami. Oh, so you were born in Cuba? No, I was born in Miami. But how could you be Cuban if you were born in Miami? Well, you see, that's the confusing question I've been dealing with my entire life. Because even though I've never lived in Cuba, Cuba has always lived in me. The portrait of a Cuba and a people that my grandparents and friends' grandparents painted in my mind. I am beyond the isms, or even mentioning Fidel Castro by name. I'm not a product of his revolution. I'm a result of it. My mother's dreams and a people's lives are victims of it. When I was a teenager, I watched as one by one of my relatives were buried, and with them a suitcase full of memories and the image of the only Cuba I've ever known. When we were children, we would always hear the sky was more blue in Cuba. The ocean water was more clear in Cuba. The air smelled better in Cuba. Life was better in Cuba. Following these words usually came a smile of bittersweet surrender. Still, many of my grandparents and parents' generations kept a packed suitcase tucked in a closet, because any day could be the day of their return. Sure, they thrived and started a life over, and over time laid roots. But the feeling of longing for the life they'd left behind was always there, always present. It was cooked in their food. It was sang in their rhymes. It was played on the media. It was embedded in my DNA. You see, Cubans in Miami are not immigrants. They are exiles. They didn't choose to leave. They had to leave, or else. Hell, the word Miami became a synonym in our dictionary for exile. But you see, exile isn't supposed to last lifetimes. Sometimes people want to sit there with me and discuss the politics of Cuba, and even go as far as glorifying Castro's failed and crumbling revolution, like I'm some political analyst who needs convincing. And then they want to judge me and label me and call me emotional. Goddamn right I'm emotional. Did you know my mother's cousin, Rafael? I didn't either. Because for 40 years, he sat staring at a wall, rocking back and forth, smoking 3 packs a day because they fried his brain after torturing him for a week, for speaking his mind when he was in his 20s. Did you know my father's cousin, Fefe, who in his 60s was locked up for 3 years for trying to buy his son a piece of meat? Or my brother Federico, who spent 7 days and 7 nights drifting out at sea on an inner tube, risking his life trying to find freedom?
Did you know my friend Ignacio, who died of leukemia, having a twin brother who wasn't allowed out to donate his marrow? And they want to tell me about how good the education system and the healthcare is.
What good does a dozen degrees do you if you can't buy your child food? Because there isn't any to buy. What good does it do you to be anything if you can't be a free human being? Free to move, to travel, to dream, to speak.
So you see, to me, Cuba is not just some topic of conversation or some story on the news. It's human stories. Not his story, my story.
It's more than half a century worth of repression, oppression, pain, suffering, humiliation. A society and a people being stripped of their pride, self-worth, self-respect, dignity, of their lives and of their beliefs. So yeah, goddamn right I'm emotional. More than 50 years worth of repressed emotion. Because as our patriot Jose Marti once said, our wine may be bitter, but it is our wine.